This poem addressing black folk issues, stuff we ain't got over yet. It's called The Cycle. If a baby is not touched, it dies. Love is that important. The attention from the stroking releases hormones into the bloodstream that helps the little bodies to grow. Connection is literally what we live for. So much that it shapes our brains by the first 10 years of our lives. And when infants die from being severed from their mama's touch, this clinical condition is called failure to thrive. This syndrome describes the black condition perfectly. In the Middle Passage, slavers faced mountain losses from African men and women revolting on the ships, so children was taken instead. Plus, in tight quarters, smaller bodies meant bigger profits. It's a lot easier to throw Willow Smith overboard than LeBron James. And if trauma can stunt your emotional growth, the plantation was Neverland. A bunch of lost boys and girls captured by the pirates. Think happy thoughts, freedom. And the baby I will birth into a transatlantic terrorist attack. 200 years in thriving, causing the cycle as unbreakable as the rotation of a hurricane, emancipating my family from New Orleans again. This is not some guilt attack on white people. It's simply asking, how can you grow up with shackles in your crib and feel free to be a good mother? To caress your baby with cotton seeds on your fingers and not plant slave ships between his brain cells in the uterus. A mother's emotions can select her fetus's genes, and they ask us why we sprint like lightning. She said, if this oak tree on my back ain't no shelter from this storm, then baby boy, you better run. This is what love looks like. A light from the gunshot still pierces the night. We aimed our offspring at survival and fired, shut up too quickly for their comfort. So the bullet that stopped Medgar Evers' heart was aimed for black America's spine. But we used their nooses like gymnast rings to pull ourselves upward, but still couldn't find our footing. That's why the stanky leg dance was invented by a hanging black man trying to put his feet on the ground. And whoever outlawed slavery forgot to tell the penitentiary, but justified black anger can get you warehoused. You got the right to remain violent, but not to resist. Anything you do to survive can and will be used against you. And when cuffs restrain the parents' hands, the youth will fail to thrive. And they ask us why we still have trouble standing. As if Malcolm shot himself on that balcony. As if they suddenly can't tell the difference between an immigrant and a hostage. We did not ask to come to this hellhole. And when we tried to climb to our feet, no cross went unburned. No prosperity went unbombed. No movement went uninfiltrated. No great leader unassassinated. No hip-hop unincorporated. And still, we got to reach out to these babies. Your love is that important. Because when the system gets its claws in them, their only concern is turning these kids into cattle. And they're getting so efficient at it, it's starting to make me wonder. Did farm animals once have revolutionaries? To warn the cows of the true nature of the stakes? Did their personal conflicts blind them to what beef really was? Is that why they're tasting these kids like cattle prods? We are on the verge of permanent domestication. Shame is on the faces of deported ancestors whose ghosts walk the halls of Rikers Island Penitentiary, wondering why there's many of us locked up today as if we're enslaved in 1850. Somebody better tell these rappers the ice they're skating on is thin, because there's something so cyclical, respect the mic, there's something so cyclical about the way that we're oppressed that nigga spelled backwards is again. No one can change this for us. Make courage possess our hands to break out of our comfort zone, to do the groundwork, to make the eye contact, to open your mouth and say the words will forever rest in pieces like the fallen hearts of those whose shoulders we have fallen from. Fuck combat. This is hand-to-hand resuscitation. A thriving touch to save a dying generation. Take the plantation and lynch it in the noose of our ripped fingers. Grab my hands and shatter the cycle.